Hello, everybody. Welcome to Moment of Clarity. The time is now. The people are rising, motherfuckers. All right? We're in an important time. We've got people are standing up in Ecuador where they're trying their best to vote out the imperialist nutbags, even though the U.S. is doing its best to help overthrow that election. In Haiti, people are standing up against the U.S. back puppet, Moise, right? President Moise? Moise. President Moise. And in India, you've got the largest strike that's ever happened in the history of humankind. Continues. It's not over. It's continuing. In the U.S., more labor strikes than have happened in a generation last year. All of this is happening around the same time. Some shit's going down.
Just real quick, I thought this was comment censored. Or am I now a guest on Moment of Clarity?
Sorry, what did I call it? Moment of Clarity? Welcome to Comment Censored. My bad. Comment Censored Live. We never actually agreed on a name for it.
No, but I
agree.
Assumed that you went rogue and, you know. Oh, God, we're on a new window. I don't know where we are.
I do go rogue at times.
Thank you, Nick.
Thanks,
Already,
Nick.
you don't even know we're donating money to. We're actually donating money to the Ring Pop Foundation.
Yes, we're donating to all the money goes into Ring Pops, and we're hoping it's going to be like Bitcoin, and it's going to shoot through the roof once.
Do you all remember these, by the way? We got these in like a little Valentine's care package, and I haven't even fucking seen one of these since I was like 10 years old. It tastes awful, by the way.
They're basically a pandemic perpetrator. They are any disease any communicable disease loves a Ring Pop. I think it was actually invented by communicable diseases to further their cause.
Which means that Wall Street loves it.
they are a disease.
There's a bit in Lee's book about how Wall Street loves communicable diseases. I highly recommend reading it if you haven't already. Nick has a proposition, folks, which is fucking cool. Anyone who wants to ask a question but can't donate, ask Nick your question in 150 characters, and he will donate $5 in your name and ask it for you. That's a pretty rad fucking proposition.
There you go.
And I would like to point out, Nick et al., that your donations tonight will be going to Cahoots, which is a branch of the Whitebird Clinic over in Oregon. Cahoots stands for Crisis Assistance, helping out on the streets. Cahoots is one of the first organizations of its kind. It's basically an alternative to calling the cops. And what Cahoots does is they offer crisis counseling, suicide prevention, assessment and intervention, conflict resolution and mediation, grief and loss, substance abuse, housing crisis issues, first aid and non-emergency medical care, resource connection and referrals, and transportation to services. So they're really rad. And as I mentioned, they're one of the first in the country to create this kind of alternative to calling 911 and having the cops show up. And they also do trainings for other cities. So they've trained folks in Denver and things like that so that people can have access to alternatives to calling the cops. So this is a really important organization that does really badass work. So yeah. Also, to your question, Nick, I'm drinking a Pinot Noir. It's cool and l'chaim.
Yeah, they are rad, and we've discussed it before, but it always bears repeating that don't call the cops unless you're actively being chased by an axe murderer, okay? Which almost no one ever is. So don't call the cops, because people call the cops for all kinds of little shit, and then the cops often, kill people, arrest people for no reason, frame people, do all kinds of horrible shit to people's lives because you thought their music was too loud, or you didn't like that they stole your parking spot, or whatever the fuck, okay? Don't call the cops. The cops are dudes with guns who got into it mostly because they wanted authority, and they had, some of them had PTSD, and there's a lot of issues going on there. But they're not there to help you. They're not your daddies. They're not society's daddies. They mainly play the role of the fist of the corporate state. So don't call them. So there's usually other alternatives.
What he said. Thank you, Nick. And Jared, to your point, I am on the advisory council of MPP because I deeply believe in a diversity of tactics.
Say what MPP is.
Movement for a People's Party. And I also believe that locally, electoral politics can make a difference. And I've said as much several times, so feel free to go back and check that out. And yeah, I believe in a diversity of tactics, and I believe that the worst thing that we can do on the left is try to shit sling and infight for the sake of purity points or to appear more radical or whatever the fuck it is that people are doing. So yeah, that's why I'm on the advisory board of MPP. And I also think that spaces need a diversity of input. So spaces need somebody who believes that, hey, we need to be more radical than perhaps a lot of folks that are part of your organization feel that we need to be. I think that that input needs to come from a lot of places. So I am happy and glad to play that role.
So to answer
Jinx.
Jinx on the to answer the next question, which you don't need to highlight because I have no answers. Believe it or not, there are certain things. Sorry, this is for Paula Sconi. There are certain things I don't know, and I don't know the answers to what you're asking about lawsuits. Sometimes I don't read up on things because I don't find them interesting or important. I don't know if that's the case with yours. I'm not saying it is, but I'm just saying. Sometimes people ask me what a certain politician's doing, and I'll say, "Oh, you mean the soap opera politics that's mostly used as a distraction, so that we aren't paying attention to what really matters in the world?" Yeah, I haven't read up on it. So sometimes that's the case. Sometimes I just happen to be on a moron on a topic. I don't know which one this is, but
I wouldn't say moron. I'd just say that you don't know.
And by the way, so to update those of you who just joined, if you'd like to donate to the super chat, you can do it on rockfin.com/LeeCamp. You can also do it on youtube.com/moment of clarity. All the donations are going to Whitebird Clinic. We'll talk more about them later. But also, Nick has offered that anybody would like a question asked via super chat to just ask it of him, tag him, and ask the question, and he will then donate the $5 with the question, which is incredibly cool. I've got to warn you that there is a chance either A, we might not have an answer for you, or B, if it's a shitty question about us and about how my nose looks strange or something, then we might not highlight it. I'm sorry to let you know. I was punched as a child, okay? By a nun.
Ooh.
Just kidding. But the nuns did not like me.
Okay, this is completely random, but it reminds me of this really this fascinating conversation I had with a friend of mine the other day. Did you know that, like, in medieval transcripts of the Bible, because that's what scribes and monks did all fucking day, was just transcribe bits of the Bible, they would get like a little, they'd get a little creative and they'd start drawing shit, like doodling in the margins. And there were a lot of dicks, just a lot of dicks. And there's one that's one of my favorites where it's a bunch of nuns wandering through like the trees and picking dicks off of a bush. And it makes me so happy.
Dicks off of a bush.
I know. But it makes me so happy to just imagine this guy sitting there after he's been fucking around with, like, I don't know, Moses all day. And he just goes to the margin and draws a bunch of nuns and penises on shrubs. So now you know that little tidbit of information. You're welcome. Happy Valentine's Day.
Well said about picking the dicks off the bush.
I really screeched that conversation to a halt, did I not?
As I would imagine those doodles do when someone's reading that book. But should we call them diddles?
Oh,
Dickles. Dickles, yes.
So yes. So do we want to mention, and please, y'all, if you have suggestions on things you'd like us to talk about, or anything that you've read up on or experienced that you would like to share, then please let us know. We are here to hang out with y'all as much as we can in this, awkward sort of digital space.
I love hanging out. These people keep me sane, so it's from them.
Thank you, Nick.
Okay.
I don't know what that question means.
Here's one from SM Henderson about what do you think of universal basic income? We've talked about it before. We support it. I will give my reasons. I support it because I think it is a step to getting past capitalism. It's a step to getting past wage slavery. It is not the answer. At the end of the day, you can't just have universal basic income and say, all our problems are solved, the poor are taken care of, good night. No, people will still be exploited. That money will still be, scraped away via corruption and various types of abuse. So it's not that it's a full-on answer, but it is a step, and it hopefully would get people to realize that we are a part of a society. By being part of that society, if you're in one of the richest countries in the world, maybe you should fucking get a part of it. Maybe you shouldn't be poor. Maybe you shouldn't be homeless. Maybe you shouldn't have to struggle to afford education. Maybe you shouldn't have to join a military and kill and possibly be killed so that you can fucking pay for that education, etc., and also etc. Okay? So hopefully it would get people to understand some of these things if literally they were paid monthly just by the society they're a part of. Because guess what? We're in late stage capitalism. It's collapsing around us. And we're not going to get right now. The answer seems to be just to fucking let people fail, let people starve, let people lose their homes, just let people struggle, which is a fucked up way to try and deal with this dystopian future we're headed towards.
Thank you, Progressive Lefty. And I will say that I've been tempted to yell "fuck yeah" in the background of so many of Lee's moments of clarity. It's ridiculous. And I've had to literally stifle myself. It's very difficult. And I've actually had, I'm going to ruin it now if it ever happens.
You're going to ruin the prank?
I'm going to ruin it. But maybe people won't be watching who are also here. But I've had this tremendous urge to put on a weird hat or something, or my plague mask, and just shimmy across in the background. And Lee would never mention it. It would just be this random shit that, and no one would understand what the fuck just happened. But yeah, I've been very tempted to yell "fuck yeah" and "amen" and all kinds of those kind of expletives.
I'm thinking of hiring a hype man or woman to stand behind me and yell "fuck yeah." So if anybody's looking for a job and you've experienced yelling "fuck yeah," you went to school for "fuck yeah," you interned maybe assistant intern to the head "fuck yeah," then give me a call and maybe we can pay you to do that. So
Arcola, well, I'm so sorry that you're in the hospital. I hope that you get well very quickly. And yes,
I hope it's your last night in the hospital as well.
Medicare for all, universal health care, absolutely. That's incredibly necessary. And I hope that you have a support system and folks to help you out when you do get out of the hospital. And I hope they're treating you well inside the hospital as well.
Speaking of hospitals, and I hope all your medical care is covered, but as we know in this country, as we talk about a lot, it is not covered for a lot of people in this country. And last week, you guys erased over $29,000 of medical deaths.
Fuck yeah.
In America. $29,000 of people's medical debt that they can't pay will be erased. They will get a letter in the mail or a phone call saying, hey, you know that debt you owe, it's either decreased or it's gone. And $29,000 worth.
Cheers to y'all. That's fucking awesome.
Incredible, guys. Thank you so much for last week. We donated, and if you're watching this later or if you're watching this now and you want to donate to that cause, you can do so at ripmedicaldebt.org. That's where we went to donate last week. This week is going to
Cahoots, which is a part of the Whitebird Clinic over in Oregon. And it's one of the first of its kind in the nation. It's basically an alternative to calling the cops, and they offer conflict resolution. They're not connected to the police. They're not police. So they are a separate entity that works to show up at if somebody feels that somebody's having an episode, or there's a conflict that really doesn't require dudes with guns that are trained to shoot people, which is most of them. I would like to buy a vowel.
That's the Swedish version.
No, it's no. And also, yes, thank you. Getting some comments in the shirt. Stop wars. Join the Rebel Alliance, because there's no such thing as love without the end of imperialism and colonialism and war. So.
That's why it was so infuriating when the fucking neoliberals grabbed the term rebellion. We're part of the rebellion or whatever.
Didn't they just say resistance?
Resistance.
Well,
I saw both, but I guess resistance was the main one. But it was like, fuck you, you're not the resistance. You're part of the problem.
I know. But
you are the empire.
You are what they're raging against.
Yeah. This person wants your didn't you have a fuck? Oh, you fuck corporate power. What did you? What's your
what?
What did your T-shirt used to say?
Oh, fuck corporate power.
Right.
Yeah.
This person said, "Get more fuck capitalism" T-shirts.
Yeah, I had fuck corporate power. I think fuck capitalism is very apt. Yeah, we can make shirts. Let's make shirts, y'all. Thank you, Zavi. I don't think you're going to die if you brushed your teeth. Oh no, you touched your toilet brush? No, I think you're fine. After all,
I mean, don't scrub your teeth with a toilet brush.
After all, piss is sterile. Shit is not. By the way,
the more you know. I never saw them do that one on television. Hey, kids, shit is not sterile. The more you know. But yeah, don't brush your teeth with the toilet brush. It's I get that you want clean teeth and you didn't bring a toothbrush or whatever, but it's just not. It's not the best answer. Use like a stray cat or something.
Wait, a stray cat or your cat?
Oh no, I don't want to offend your own cat like that. You gotta find a stray. Gotta find a stray one for that. Let's see if unless we have other topics, please keep throwing up your comments. And by the way, for those who have just joined, Nick has graciously offered if you text a question to him, and he will then donate the $5 for you to the super chat and ask the question for you. Very nice of him.
Thank you, old unshaven one. That's fucking awesome. So glad to hear that people sought out RIP medical debt after the broadcast as well. That's awesome. Thank you.
Well done.
Nick, having grown up in Oregon, I appreciate you pronouncing it properly. How do the people pronounce it? And Austin.
Do some people say Oregon?
What's funny is that people often make fun of me for the way that I pronounce things. Like I say rather as opposed to rather because
you got some of the Swedish English, which is British English, kind of.
Well, rather. So
Thank you, Brian.
It's just I don't like the way that it sounds. So thank you for pointing out that I said something correctly. That's unusual.
I still get Nevada confused. They like Nevada.
Is it? I think I say Nevada. Oh, now I'm confused. Now I don't know what I say. Someone from...
you need to say Nevada.
Someone from that state. Tell us how it's said.
But did you have one?
I was just going to say it also, now that we're into the pronunciation of things, it's Appalachia. It's not Appalachia. Please stop saying Appalachia. It's Appalachia. Thank you.
Speaking of that, her film, Hard Road of Hope, can be found at hardroadofhope.com.
Which is about Appalachia.
Which is about Appalachia. So I thought I'd show you another thing that's gone viral today. Happy Valentine's Day for those of you who like the made-up holidays that our consumerist society thrusts upon us. But Ilhan Omar, and I get that first of all, her response is not bad, but it gets more complicated than that. But anyway, let's see here. We're
getting all fancy with it.
Show you the screen here.
We're getting fancy, folks. Woo!
So the CIA tweeted, "Roses are red, violets are blue. Happy Valentine's Day from CIA to you."
Which is like getting a Valentine's card from
someone's
Grim
taint.
Reaper. Oh. Well, yours was more. Yours was more. What's the word? Whimsical.
Yeah. So no, the number of people this must have made vomit is tough to really, analyze. It must have been an immense number. But Ilhan Omar then tweeted, "I denounced this coup on Valentine's Day," which very funny, and I like her response. because the CIA creates coups. However, I will also throw this question as a side note, this question to Ilhan Omar, which again, I'm not saying she's awful, but has she come out and very clearly denounced the U.S.-backed coups in Venezuela that are going on right now, in Bolivia going on right now, in Ecuador going on right now, in Haiti? I know she's better than most Congress people, but I know AOC has been shit on Venezuela. And I don't know that, I mean, if I'm wrong, then let me know. I don't think Ilhan Omar has outwardly said much about those CIA-backed, US-backed coups. And let's be honest, she's in the US government now. So she has to be a part of that unless she clearly and straightforwardly denounces those coups. Mm-hmm. So while I like this response to that tweet, if she really wants to be taken seriously on it, she has to do those other things. But to back off of just dealing with her, the CIA thing it's repulsive and everything. But here's the thing. I think they knew that a lot of people would share it based on us making fun of it, based on us being furious that the CIA, that causes so much death and destruction around the world, is being like, hey, here's some roses and some heart candies. It says, I love you on it. They knew that we would make fun of that. And so I think that this spectacle, this garbage, the Central Intelligence Agency tweeting cute little things is all part of this fucking show. It's all part of this spectacle designed to distract us from the reality of these coups, from the reality of death and destruction they create around the world. I don't think they have a problem with you trashing them for tweeting that, because it still gets their tweet out there. They have become, their Twitter feed has become kind of similar to celebrities like Donald Trump that would like for you to make fun of them and go after them because that just keeps it in the public eye. It's like, I don't know that the CIA's Twitter account is much different.
No.
Anyway.
No.
And here I am giving into it because I showed their tweet. They win! Fuck!
Yes. Yes. Someone's asking where they can watch this on Rockfin.
ROKFIN.com/LeeCamp. And there is, the rockfin.com/LeeCamp. And there is a way to do tips, they call it over there, like super chat donations, which I also will be donating to, what's it called again? Whitebird Clinic this week. However, we can't watch all the feeds at once. So if you're donating on Rockfin, we can't address your questions right now because it's too much to handle all at once. But we don't have a staff of 12 emailing us the pertinent questions. So feel free to donate over there. It will still go to Whitebird Clinic, but we can't respond to your comments over there. So.
And if you're watching this on Facebook and you'd like to donate to Cahoots, to the Whitebird Clinic, the alternative to calling the police, go over to youtube.com/momentofclarity.
Yeah, and click the little $ next to the comments. Thanks to everybody who has donated. Already, we've got a lot of funds for Whitebird Clinic, which is basically an alternative to
calling the cops.
Alternative to calling the cops.
And it's an alternative to calling the cops in Eugene, Oregon. However, they have done trainings and shared their
That's Oregon.
Okay.
They've done trainings.
They've done trainings in other cities to try and spread this idea of, hey, you shouldn't call people with guns to deal with the majority of shit that people call people with guns to deal with. So it's a really great organization, and yeah.
To answer Smokey's question, I am considering this a date with you, Smokey. So I hope you're enjoying it, as am I. From your Tinder profile, I wasn't sure whether this would work out between us, but so far I'm quite happy.
We're swiping left, right? Which one's yes?
I thought it was if you jack off on the screen. If you just jack it right there, then that's a yes to the Tinder. To the Tinder
I
gods.
have never used the Tinder. I am unfamiliar with
sorry, I haven't. I wish that when I was in my younger days, I wish that was when I was in my early 20s, this thing existed.
I don't. I'm so glad that I didn't. Oh no. I'm so glad that I mean, not that it was always golden when you met people at bars after rock shows, but hey, I never had to sit there on a phone and swipe and just, guess as to whether this person was an axe murderer.
Thank you guys for the donation. So another story we wanted to get into, and feel free to continue to throw your stories or subjects up in the comment thread. We'll try to get to some of them. But this one was about the media doing one of their lovely puff pieces. And it was several media outlets, by the way. Puff pieces on a teen who gave her entire college savings to pay her mom's rent. And hold on, where's the there we go. So
that's pretty fucked.
This is at Mint Press where they're making fun of this, how the media frames this as like a great news story. Good news. Teen gives uses her entire college savings because she got into a really good school, and she uses her college savings to pay her mom's rent because neither of them have much money. Yay! Do you want to take first crack at this?
I mean, but this is something that we see a lot, right? I'm sure folks can think of something off the top of their head that they've heard before. One that comes to my mind is a family couldn't pay for their kid's medical bills because he needed a certain type of walking device to help him walk. And so his mom worked at Office Depot. So the people that she worked with made him one out of PVC pipe and shit that they found that was like left over at Home Depot. And everyone's like, oh my God, what a sweet story that the medical industrial complex won't pay for the shit that this kid needs. So they literally made it out of fucking scraps from Home Depot. Oh my God, that's so adorbs, right?
And everyone was like, America is winning. Yay.
That's so much better than having medical grade equipment. So this is another one of those fucking stories, right? That, oh my gosh, this is so great. Like this teen is so loyal to her mother, and wow, what a wonderful story. And it's like, why the fuck? First of all, why the fuck is the mom?
First of all, why the fuck?
Secondly, why the fuck? Why is the mom facing eviction for not being able to pay rent in the midst of a pandemic like thousands of other people across this country? Yep. Second of all, why is the kid having to save up money to get an education, which should be fucking free? There are so many what the fucks included in this bulbous, gigantic zit of a what the fuck story. And it's just horrific. And the other side of that is, of course, it's horrific that corporate media then gets to say, well, it's because of our coverage of this story that now that her GoFundMe has raised so much money so that she can go to college and the mom's rent is paid. And oh my God, it's so great. #winning. And it's fucking horrendous because at the same time that they're patting themselves in the back and circle jerking in celebration, thousands of other people facing the same fucking situation are going to be homeless, are never going to get to go to college, or if they do, they're going to be saddled with debt for the rest of their fucking lives. But there's no comment about those people. There's no comment about the system that created this situation where a teen would even have to be in this situation. So it's fucking disgusting.
Yeah. I think you covered it all. I said, do you want first crack?
I'm
pretty
sorry.
much you got everything.
I'm sorry.
No,
get me rolling on fucking.
Well said. I'm now your hype man. Fuck yeah. No, these things never get at the deeper issue. Even if this wasn't just repulsive that they don't mention that thousands of other people, if not millions, are facing this same fucking crisis. Even if they don't talk about the fact that college is ridiculously expensive, and that's why this girl was saving up her entire life to try to afford her day in college.
Thank you, Shay.
It's
solidarity between Nick and Shay. Love it.
Well, you missed it. Nick said that his bank account has shut off his card because he was doing a bunch of $5 donations.
Fuck them, Nick. You awesome.
Let's see how many of Nick's cards we can get shut off. Yeah.
Sorry.
But So it's bad enough that they're not mentioning all that, but you have to our media will never get at the heart of the issue. They will never get down to, hey, why the fuck does capitalism work this way? Will it always work this way? Yes. The answer is yes. It will always work this way. It doesn't matter if you put a caveat on it. It doesn't matter if you put a little adjective like a bow tie on it. You put a bow tie on a turd, still a turd, okay? And so they want to add the little caveats and the adjectives like, oh, it's only late stage capitalism that acts this way. It's only unfettered capitalism that has this problem. It's only a crony capitalism that has this problem. Nope. That's a bow tie on a turd there. That's what you did. That's right there. Oh, you added a top hat. Okay, still not better. Still smells the same. Still causing the same fucking
not sterile.
Havoc, death, and disease. Yes, the more you know. So. They will never get to the core of the issue. And even beyond just the capitalism thing, they won't get to the core of the other issues, which is that, we should have a society where we want people educated. We want people as educated as possible, rather than making it difficult to get educated, rather than making it a class issue to have highly educated, to have an easier path into well-paying jobs. We should want that as a society. Instead, we've turned it into basically a class thing where you either have to be a lucky poor person who's able to afford one of these colleges, or you have to be a rich person who's able to afford one of these colleges, or even middle class people end up paying off that debt for dozens of years. Meaning they're not just they're chained to wage slavery, but on top of that, they're chained to student loan debt. So it's like chains on top of chains. Anyway.
Yes. So that's fucking grotesque. Somebody, I noticed in the comments here, somebody was asking us to talk about the Oak Flat situation. And this is actually something that we'll be talking about on Common Censored this week. So please do check in on Common Censored if you want an update about what's happening in Oak Flat. It's fucking horrific. Literally the judge quoted a basically like a colonialist precedent that said that if by the sword or by other means, we will basically, take over this savage, meaning Native Americans. So it's fucking abhorrent. It's disgusting.
What Oak Flat is. Thank you, Chuck.
No, because we're going to talk about it on Common Censored. And if I say everything here, no one's going to want to come listen to the show. All right. Our podcast is called Common Censored. Thank you, Chuck. It's free. Common Censored is free to go listen to every week. I highly recommend it. I'm an unbiased observer. Okay. Our podcast is very good. So called Common Censored. Check it out. When that's coming out is sometime this week. I'm sorry. We haven't figured out the exact time, but as soon as it's up, you'll get a notice about it if you are on my mailing list or on Lee's mailing list, or if you follow us on Twitter or Instagram. We will throw it out there. And yes, this is Nicole. This is also Common Censored, but this is the Common Censored live stream. Common Censored Live, which this is a working title. I'm not married to the Common Censored live stream name. So if anybody has suggestions, if anybody's got suggestions for the name of this thing, feel free. Because the podcast is called Common Censored. So because it's not Moment of Clarity, it's not Redacted Tonight, it's not Act Out, it's not Silver Threads, it's Common Censored Live, but it's a little different than Common Censored because in Common Censored, rather than chat with you guys, we actually carefully plan topics and discuss them. So. Which is why I'm saving the Oak Flat discussion for then, because I want to get into like the nitty gritty history of that situation. There's fewer ring pops involved. There are fewer ring pops. By the way, this tastes awful. But you're hanging on to it for the look. Well, because I feel like I went with the look. And now I have. Now I'm like, yeah. But it's like wearing high heels or something, right? It's awful. Once you decide you're wearing them. Is that your experience with high heels? Yeah, like 10 minutes in, I'm like, ow, my pinky toe hurts. But you know what? It's too late. High heels all night. You know what? I appreciate that about you. High heels all night should be the name of like a fucking band or something. Thank you, Knut, for the donation. Thank you, Claude. Thank you, Lucy. Happy Valentine's Day to you. All proceeds from donations are going to the Whitebird Clinic, the Cahoots program that helps stop people from calling the cops because they give alternatives. Something similar went on in Denver, and I covered it back then, but Denver has a program that is the alternative to cops, and basically they have started working with the cops where they
someone will call the cops and say, hey, there's a guy digging through my trash. Quick, send guys who aren't very intelligent with guns. And then the cops will, at least because they've agreed to work with this program, will be like, that sounds like more something to send these mental health professionals. So they send these unarmed mental health professionals that then go and help the people. And when I was covering this several months ago, they had helped well over 1,000 cases where dumb guys with guns were not sent, so that you could reserve the dumb guy for guns with dumb guys with guns for other events, because you never know when you might need a dumb guy with a gun.
I think that's the name of the fourth Rambo film, actually.
It was the name of all the Rambo films. But can we just permanently change the name of police to dumb people with guns?
Yes.
Okay.
I second that motion. Good.
Fair enough. Thank you, Lucy. Lucy says happy Valentine's Day to me because she loves herself. Agreed.
I covered this.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I did.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Adam.
Well, Lucy got double coverage.
Well, she deserves it. She's a rad artist. Y'all should check out her work.
Danger Zone has asked multiple times, why isn't there a revolution?
This is a good question, and this is actually something that that I cover on my on one of my podcasts with Carla Bergman called Silver Threads, and we talk about this. Why haven't things scaled over? Why haven't things shifted? To where we want them to be. And this is a really tricky question, and it kind of needles into a lot of things. A lot of like deep organizing issues, a lot of deep like personal issues, our sick relationship with the state, a lot of shit. That's a lot to unpack there, which is why there's a whole section of my podcast with Carla Bergman that discusses that. So if y'all are interested in hearing more about that, please check out Silver Threads. It is available every other week, and it's available wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of issues there. For many people, it has to do with simply surviving their day to day. People are so stuck in wage slavery that they're working 2-3 jobs. They have kids. They've got life issues. They have a parent in the hospital, etc. And it's like they're not exactly thinking how to create an entirely new economic system where everybody's treated more equally. They've just got their hands full. So that is a big part of it, which is, I think, is why they can't. It's why our ruling elite do not see a future without extreme wage slavery. Mm-hmm. Because the moment they now realize, I don't know if they used to realize this, but they now realize that the moment that happens, people start looking around and going, hey, now that we have time to think about it, this is a pretty fucked up system. Why do 3 people have the same amount of wealth as the bottom 50%? Why do 3 people have trillions of dollars? It's fucking nuts. Mm-hmm. And the ruling elite don't want that. The oligarchs don't want that.
And I think Red Economics makes, by the way, I love that name. Thank you. Makes a great point here. A lot, which is kind of what you were saying, Leap. A lot of people feel powerless to change anything. And it's easier to hate the other. And this is, a really important point that highlights why it's so important to organize in your local community with your community members that you can connect with. So it's not just like, outside people coming in and being like, let me tell you what you need to do. No, it's people in their communities autonomously figuring out what they need, how they need it, what kind of systems they would like to see, and getting to work on building those. That's really where the power lies.
So guys, if we get $50, you know what? I'll reach high. $75 in the next 10 minutes for White Bird Clinic, which is an alternative to calling the police. We will stay an extra 10 minutes. We'll stay till 9 o'clock if we get that in the next 10 minutes. So, cool.
Yeah.
I'm sad to have lost Nick's support since his bank has frozen him out.
I know. I'm missing the support. I'm also, missing the pair character, to be perfectly honest.
Maybe he's run out, Not everybody has an endless well of pair characters to draw upon.
You know what? And this is why I'm thankful for the time that me and Nick's pair characters had together. So, you have to be thankful for what you have in the moment. because you never know when it's going to be over.
Right now, I'm picturing the person. This is the first one of these they've tuned into, and they're like,
Wondering what the
what
fuck I'm
characters?
talking about.
The fuck is a
They're probably
character?
wondering if this is a weed.
She's like stuck to things. There's paintings coming off the walls.
Probably wondering if this is a weed pop, but it's not.
You didn't get any marijuana in your ring pop?
No, sadly, I didn't. And it wouldn't be good if I did, because I'd just be sitting here awkwardly staring into space. Thank you again, Knut. Yay, thank you, Chris. Bear character shaking its fists at Nick's bank. Yes. Yes, the bear characters live again.
Bear characters building a guillotine outside.
Thank you, Gene. Yes, y'all are rad. This is awesome. Thank you all. Charlie, thank you. Yes, and
let's see, 10, 20, 30.
Charlie, to your point about Haiti, we will also be talking more about Haiti in the Common Censored podcast, again, because the Common Censored podcast allows us a little bit more space to dig into something and, really read articles and formulate talking points, as opposed to kind of just stream of consciousness, which is what we mostly do on the live stream. But we absolutely we'll be covering that. In the meantime, I definitely recommend that folks check out the Popular Resistance newsletter, which talked a lot about this issue. There's also a brilliant statement that was released via Black Alliance for Peace that talked about Haiti and its relationship to U.S. imperialism, which goes deep. So I'd recommend those two things in the meantime, but we'll be talking more about it on the podcast.
Haiti committed the original sin of rebelling against their imperialist masters and becoming the first slave rebellion to take over a country. And that was unacceptable. So we've decided to destroy them ever since.
Which, by the way, they had to pay reparations to France for ending slavery.
I'm serious. For escaping their own fucking enslavement. They had to pay reparations to their enslavers. How fucked is that?
Yeah. Yes, actually, Chris, I like that. How about that? How do folks feel about that?
I like it.
Love it. Love it. Love these ideas. Keep them coming, folks. Yeah, so we will be talking more about Haiti and more about Oak Flat in the Common Censored podcast this week. So please do look out for that. You can be on either one of our mailing lists. Follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, and we'll post about it. So yes, so y'all can hear more about that there. And did we get to 50?
So I had said 75.
Oh,
we're at 35 of 75. However, we're only 2 minutes into the 10-minute window, so we could still get there. We'll see.
All right, let's
keep it coming.
Keep it coming.
All donations are going to a Whitebird Clinic. And speaking of the police, alternatives to the police, we thought we'd talk for a minute about something we talked about on Common Censored, but we dig into it a little more right here, which is the garbage science of most forensics. Not all forensics, but a lot of forensics.
Woo!
Oh, thank you, Jim.
Jim and Old Unshaven One.
Old Unshaven One. That's
another
30. So now we're at 65. We're only 10 short. But let's get into some of this forensic science, which when you turn on your TV and you watch it, and the Law and Order SVUs and the CSIs and the NCIS and the WTPWs and the RFGs, when you turn those on, and the Sherlocks, when you turn those on, they say, oh, we get a bite mark on a body, and then we look at the bite mark and we go, oh my God, it was Carl. And we know immediately, or we see a thank you, Lucy.
Yay.
We see a blood splatter across a wall, and we go, well, then fucking Michelle killed this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just seems so definite, and yet the vast majority of it, garbage science.
And this reminds me, I don't know if y'all ever saw the movie Superbad, but there's a scene in it where there are these two cops talking.
Thank you, Andrew.
About how they thought when they first joined the force that everything would just be covered in semen, so that it would be easy to find whoever did it, just like semen everywhere. You turn on a black light and it's like, holy shit, I know who did it, because after he robbed this place, he came all over the walls. And unfortunately, that's not typically what happens. And so there's, I mean, and I think some of us can think about like, oh, okay, well, yeah, blood spatter seems unrealistic, or, bite marks, but fingerprints, a lot of folks think that, well, fingerprints, that it is unique to every person. So of course that has to be legit, right? But the problem is that, like, you going like this at the police station, if you've ever done that, that is a very distinct fingerprint. And when people are murdering someone or, breaking and entering, they're not usually like, dink, like
Right.
perfect with a fucking fingerprint. It's a partial, it's smudged, it's both. And so what they do is they put it into a system of existing fingerprints, which, by the way, isn't everyone. And they see what comes up, and they usually have a bunch of possibles, which means that it's not fucking definite at all. But they then decide, because most of these aren't blind, which means that they know about the person who's a possible match. And they look at the guy and they're like, well, he was caught stealing an orange 5 years ago, so it seems logical to me that he would rape someone now. And this is the kind of
Thank you, Sebastian.
This is the kind of logic that's used in these labs. And another point that's important to point out is that these labs are a part of the police. They're a part of law enforcement. So they're not, what's the word? They're not independent.
Unbiased.
They're not unbiased. They work with police as opposed to working with the people to try and not just find out who done it, but also find out who didn't do it, which is really incredibly important. So the idea that fingerprint analysis, the way that you see in like CSI, where they're in this like, fucking titanium and, marble lab where they've got like this little perfect machine, they just slide that perfect fingerprint into, and then 5 seconds later, it's like, Carl, that's not.
Sorry to go after Carl's.
I know. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with Carl, but
we'll say Danny. This time it was Danny.
It was Danny. That's not fucking realistic. But with the way that these shows make it look, that's how popular opinion has grown around this. And
what cops would tell you. Cops would tell you, oh, the science is really good.
The National Academy of Sciences actually put out a statement, I think it's like 10 years ago now, basically saying that fingerprint analysis is some bullshit. And there really needs to be independent labs that aren't connected to the police that not only process fingerprints and other forensic evidence, but it has to be way more advanced for us to say this is foolproof. And the fact that it's brought into court and said that it's foolproof is fucking horrendous. And there are places that, for instance, one of the places that we've donated, that they all have donated money to in the past, the Innocence Project, works heavily on this issue of, for instance, bite mark analysis. Like, right. That's total horseshit.
So a good place to watch to learn more about this is Netflix did a special or at least produced a series called Innocence Files about the Innocence Project. And the Innocence Project, one of the episodes shows how garbage bite mark analysis is, and how most of it is based on one guy, one basically fraudster, who said, oh yeah, it's perfectly legit and I'm the king of it and I can tell you anybody, you show me a couple of marks, I'll tell you who did it. Take me 10 minutes, no problem. You get me a bite mark, I'll fucking have the guy locked up and doo. And it turned out he was full of shit. And in fact, when they sent out this was a separate article, I didn't see this on the show, but when they sent out a test to all the people who were part of the bite mark analysis, I don't know what's called, group of guys.
I was about to say clan, but
no, but you can become an official member of like the scientists who do bite mark analysis. So they sent it out to all of them, and they said, here's an image of the bite mark, or here's an image. Tell us whether you think it's A, definitely a bite mark, B, maybe a bite mark, or C, not a bite mark. And like, it was basically 1/3 of each. They had no idea whether it was a bite mark, not a bite mark. And this was when you poll all of them, these are the people who have studied bite marks and are supposed to know them. 1/3 don't know whether it's a bite mark. 1/3 think it could be. 1/3 think it is. Like, it's fucking nonsense. And for the back to the fingerprints, it's like fingerprints work when you are comparing them. When you have a good one, like you said, lots of it's a tiny bit or partial, but you have a good one and you know exactly who you're trying to pin down.
Right.
Is this the husband's fingerprint?
Right. Yeah.
Then you can be like, yeah, his fingerprint is in blood on the table. That works. But when you're just loading a fingerprint into the fucking machine and saying,
I wonder who
tell
it
me
is.
who in America.
No, I know. It's like fucking playing pinball. Yeah. So, and there's also a good podcast called The Constant that brought this up, which is really good. I recommend it. Knut, as to your question, I'm sorry I didn't see your question, so I don't know if it was stupid. But with regards to the NATO war games going on in Norway, I'd like to point out that Norway is not alone. Fucking Sweden has allowed NATO to which Sweden's not a NATO member, by the way. Has allowed.
Thank you, G. Birch.
Has allowed military. Has allowed NATO military operations to
Thank you, Chrissy.
happen inside of Sweden, right next to the Russian border, which is really fucking stupid for a number of reasons. And I'm really pissed at Sweden for doing that. So with regards to Norway, yes, I think it's horrific, and NATO should be fucking disbanded. It is like the international CIA.
It basically puts for the wars that involve NATO, it's like putting a "this war is legit" sign on just mass murder. I mean, it doesn't make our wars any more legit. Destroying Libya and killing tens of thousands in Libya and turning it into fucking warlord haven, that is not legit. That's not like, oh, that was a good war. Look, NATO did it. It was good.
Mm-hmm.
So as I've said in many of my videos, it's the Christmas lights on the pedophile's home. It's just there to make you think everything's cool. Everything's okay.
Yep. And it's really not. So yeah, any country that's fucking around with NATO, not good. Not good. Yeah. So we got 8 minutes left, and I just wanted to again highlight that all of the money that you're donating tonight goes to
Last Chance
Whitebird Clinic in Oregon, and their Cahoots program that is the alternative to calling the police, that deals heavily with intervention that is focused on mental health and what's the word?
rehabilitation.
Yes. There's another phrase that I'm trying to think of, but it's
assistance.
Yes. But anyway, they are
ring pops.
No ring pops. But they're a rad organization, and they also do trainings in other cities to try and bring this concept to more places so that folks have more alternatives to calling the police. So that's where the donations are going tonight. If you're watching this after the fact, you can check out Whitebird Clinic online. And
De-escalation. Someone
de-escalation,
offered.
Yes.
So someone offered that.
They do that too. That wasn't what I was thinking of, but good call. They do that as well. So harm reduction, that's the word I was looking for, or words that I was looking for. So good. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know that was one word. I was looking for one word.
Okay. All right. Yes. So
thank you guys so much. We got because you guys donated so generously. We got a few minutes left. Please let us know what you want to talk about in these last 5 minutes. Mr. Honeybee says
and Radical Eclectic.
He lives in Portland and they need this so bad.
I'd say every city does, but yeah, Portland has had some crazy shit go down the past year. So solidarity to y'all.
Yeah, where the cops rather than arresting that guy just showed up and assassinated him. The guy that shot the white supremacist or whatever that they accused him of. Yeah, that's not really the best course of action. And you notice they don't behave that way on white supremacist right-wing fucking dickbags.
Yeah, funny, yeah.
So Indiana is asking me, wasn't Rain Pryor going to run for office? Whatever happened there? I did not know Rain Pryor was going to run for office. Rain Pryor said some very nice things about my comedy, but that was several years ago.
Who is Rain Pryor?
Oh, Richard Pryor's daughter. Said some very nice things about my comedy, but that was many years ago, and I haven't spoken to her. I know that she did a one-woman show that I think was rather successful and good, but I didn't know she was going to run for office.
Can I just say, as a side note, I really like that name, Rain.
Rain. Okay, then. Notes to all the Rains out there. Fuck you, Carl.
I am sorry to all the
Carl killed everyone. Do you understand, man? Every time we look into it, Carl is at the center of the whole goddamn thing.
Really don't know. Did someone like hurt you as a child named Carl? What's going on?
Carl hurt us all. He hurt our whole society.
Apparently. Yes, folks. Thank you so much for all of the donations, for all of the comments and questions. You all have 5 more minutes if there's anything else you want to throw our way.
Last chance to get donations in for Whitebird Clinic.
Yes.
Yeah, Indiana says, fuck you, Carl.
Oh, God.
Papa Jay's bringing up Amazon. It's interesting. So someone brought up an interesting point on Amazon where I spend a lot of my time trashing Amazon because they're fucking awful. And they exploit their workers more than anyone, which is how they became so successful, partially. But someone brought up the interesting point that technologically, Amazon's done some really fascinating and impressive things. And if we had a society that wasn't built on exploitation, that wasn't built on profit over all else, you would use these technological advancements to better us as a society without the exploitation, without making workers work till they collapse. So the things like the ability to have all of their orders obviously so efficiently processed, and they can get things to your door quickly. Now, obviously, hopefully that would be less quickly if we didn't have exploitation of workers, but still, it would still be very quick. And a lot of that has to do with the technology and the ability and how they've set up their systems and everything. So the things that Amazon has put into play, many of them would be positive advancements for humanity if they weren't also abusing all their workers, stealing their money, not taking care of them when they get sick or injured, not giving them vacation time and maternity leave and all that stuff. It's like, unfortunately, in our system, you can't have one without the other. There's very few companies that have these technological advancements and don't treat their workers like garbage, because in order to win at our system, quote unquote, you fucking abuse your workers as much as possible. Yeah, it's based on, the bottom line is the bottom line. And if the profit is king above all else, then there's really not a lot of room for human rights and sustainability and ecosystems and, life. Lucy had a great point from a article today. Amazon couriers are making a £1.83 an hour, which is very similar to what Uber, when the MIT study came out about Uber Lyft drivers, I think it was specifically about Uber drivers, many of them were making like less than $2 an hour. Some of them were making a negative amount of money once you account for the things that people don't normally account for, like harm to the car, gas money, insurance, all that stuff. Yeah. So they're they're doing the job and losing money. And basically the algorithm has defeated the human brain, or the average human brain, because we aren't calculating for the cost to the miles on the car, things like that. So basically this is AI defeating humanity and exploiting us. And obviously there's humans at the top of the systems that are deciding to use this AI to destroy humans' lives. Yeah, no, it's grotesque. And I saw somebody say boycott Amazon. Absolutely. If you can boycott Amazon, buy from local places, but understand that also there is, kind of like with the issue of climate change, there are decisions that have to be made beyond just our personal decisions. Nick is back in the game. What? I always have a delay on my end. That's not fair. Nick, pair character. Oh, sweet. Okay. I don't want to ask what he had to do to go out and get his bank. Wait, I'm reading my special para-character message. Okay. Para-character finding loopholes to donate money to help people who shouldn't interact with police while also sipping sake and eating spicy Tokyo veggie soup. Yes! Woo! Whole food, plant-based diets are healthy, cheaper, and delicious. I like this para-character. Thank you, Nick. Yes. Where was I? Not sure.
Oh yes, personal decisions. We have to also be aware that our personal choices are not what's going to ultimately save the world. The personal choices that would are the ones that have us working together to overthrow and or not overthrow, to make defunct and make obsolete the system that we currently live under. So we have to understand things like, for instance, there are 100 corporations that account for 70% of all global emissions. I hate to say it, but recycling is not going to cut it. We have to be more engaged in the larger decisions that affect the larger group of people. So, yeah, the personal choices are great, but we also have to look at the larger picture and understand that that system change is necessary for a livable future. And yeah, so let's fucking rattle some thrones and topple some empires. And y'all are awesome. Thank you so much for
Rattle Thrones.
Yes, thank you so much for hanging out with us. So appreciated your input, your questions, and your fucking donations for Whitebird Clinic. These are disgusting. Don't eat them. I don't know what's going on here.
And Carl, I'm sorry we didn't. Just call me up. It's something I need to talk to you about. But it's like I mean,
it's a personal issue.
yeah. I'm sorry, Carl. Listen, Carl. Never mind.
Lover squirrel? Okay. We will return to that later or not. Thank you all so much. Happy Valentine's if you celebrate. If not, we love you anyway. And thank you for hanging out with us. And we will see you next time.
But check out Common Censored, our podcast. Yes. It's a little bit different, but you're going to love it.
We'll be talking about Haiti and Oak Flat and some other things. So.
Many other things. Also, Eleanor is an amazing film at hardroadofhope.com. And I highly recommend you check out her other podcast, Silver Threads. They interview amazing activists, frontlines, warriors, and you got to hear it.
And check out Government Secrets because it's fucking rad. And Moment of Clarity, but you already knew that because you're already here.
All right. Love you guys. Keep fighting.
Act out.